Seven, I really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Alicia Pratt. I am the Hoopla support specialist for NC Live and member libraries. Devin and I have been working really closely together. I've been working with other NC Live staff members to bring updated Flex titles to the collection to share down with member libraries. Today, what I'm going to be showing is our Midwest tape, also known as the e-commerce website. This is the website for staff members of libraries to log in. It hosts both physical and digital content. Today, I'll be focusing on the digital content and the digital reports that are available to staff members. I'll dive deep into some of the reports, the features and functionality, probably some of my favorite reports, and how to read them, how to best utilize them, and just share some ideas. Following that, I'll hop over to the Hoopla patron app or website, what patrons see on the platform to showcase the different features and functionality that either might be surprising for you or what you already know. Please feel free to unmute and ask questions. I do think that there is a chat feature. I'll be sure to get into the chat feature and answer as many questions as possible. Um, Also, I will share my contact information if I have not been in contact with you outside of this webinar if you have any follow-up questions. So with that, I am going to get started. Hopefully everyone can see my screen here. I am utilizing a testing account. There may or may not be information that is applicable for what your library staff will see on our website. It's simply for testing purposes to showcase all the capabilities that our website has. So on our e-commerce website, when I am completing training sessions with our library partners in general, I like to showcase the Now Shopping feature. There are member libraries within NC Live who may purchase physical content with us, which I think is great. But if you specifically don't necessarily need to see physical titles such as DVDs, audiobooks, playaways, and whatnot, you can select digital, which will change the home screen to showcase digital content only. If you need to see everything, great. And select all, change just to physical, but I'm going to keep it on digital here. For member libraries who are interested in purchasing their own Flex licenses, that is something that I can go into more detail on a one-on-one session. Please feel free to reach out. But if you're interested in just seeing what hot new releases are coming out from authors and publishers, you can check out the carousels right here on the home page under Hoopla Flex, audiobooks, and change to ebooks if you need to. Scroll through the carousel or change what you want to see. These are the hot new releases right now, but maybe you're a teen selector or children's. You can change to match. It's on ebook. You can change it to audiobook. I want to highlight some of the icons below the titles. Right now, you can see if it's in someone else's cart. The icon here is showcasing that if purchased, this would become a Flex Borrow available for your patrons. You can input number of quantity and add to a cart that you may already have created. You can also scroll down below and check out some holds and patron requests. This icon will alert you that X number of patrons have requested a particular title that is listed within this carousel. As above, you can also change it to ebook and add a quantity directly to a cart if the holds and requests have accumulated in a way that you've decided to go ahead and make a purchase. On the right-hand side, there's some quick links here. You can check out again the hot new releases via audiobook and ebook, or you can check out the monthly calendar. This will take you to the release calendar to hop between audiobook and ebook, the different collections. or hop ahead a few months to see what's coming towards the holiday season and add your quantities directly to a cart. Going back to the homepage real quick, you can also check out some children's titles. Something that I do want to showcase quickly before I go into the Hoopla reports. This was a recent update that I want to highlight for all staff members who are taking a look at a product. So this is now called the product display page. On the right-hand side, we'll list all available purchasing models. So let's say this title was also available on Hoopla Instant, which is the pay per use model. If your library has Hoopla Instant, it's great. Your patrons already have access to the title. But this will showcase the best purchasing options to make purchasing decisions for your library. Being a member library of NC Live, you're also going to be able to see in the information panel down here whether or not NC Live is already providing that title for your library. So maybe you do not need to purchase a license. You can see the number of copies in the different models, the number of requests from patrons, and how many circulations have occurred on that particular title. Within the product display page, you can see other types of formats and media, or you can check out any of your recently viewed titles. It gives more information per title all in one screen so that staff aren't having to open up multiple web pages to gather information and make differentiators between what they want to purchase, what their patrons are borrowing, things like that. From the home page, there's also the mega menu I want to highlight. Hoopla audiobook and ebook. These are some of the collections that our marketing team has put together, such as New York Times bestseller, fiction or nonfiction. It's a quick way to build your Flex collection for your library, for your patrons. But let's dive into some of the Hoopla reports. Clicking on the Hoopla tab here will take you to the Hoopla reports dashboard. The product display, being that this is a testing account, it is going to showcase both Flex and Instant. For member libraries who do not have Hoopla Instant model, again, that pay-per-use, you will not see instant circulation data. You'll only see Flex. A tool that I really find helpful for front desk staff members who may have patrons coming into the physical space and inquiring about their Hoopla app or their login information or library card. Let's say they are a new patron to your library, but not a new patron to Hoopla necessarily. And they need to update their library card information. So, as an example, this patron finder tool is really helpful for front desk staff. Staff members can go in here and search via library card number or email address, whether or not the text included in the search bar contains or exact matches. With that, the staff can input the text and search. For this purpose, I'm simply going to search open. You can see disabled patrons or enabled, how many borrows they have or maybe holds, and when they initially registered. For example purposes, I'm going to select a patron, which will populate this pop-up box for staff to edit patron information. Maybe they got an email address, but they're unsure how to update it on their Hoopla app or their platform. This is where the staff member can assist them in updating their email address or their library card, or help them reset their password. I will share reset PIN. This is a static section, meaning that even though your library might not require PINs, this is static information so that other member libraries across all of our library partners can assist in resetting PINs. Once the information is updated, staff can say save, With that, I would require or actually suggest that the patron logs out of their Hoopla app, um, then log back in with the new information. They should be able to borrow just fine. Going back to the Hoopla tab, Reports dashboard, we've made great improvements to some of the patron reports that I will quickly highlight. The growth report just gives a comprehensive overview of your library's patrons' activity. So again, just a reminder, this is a testing account, so these numbers are not true in any way, but you can kind of get an idea of the information that you would see for your library's patrons. Within this report, staff members can go in and change the time period and download in a CSV file or a PDF directly through the web browser rather than having it sent via email. I will also preface all the reports that I'm showing you today are updated twice a day in a 12-hour period. You can see the number of your patrons, your total registered patrons, the number of patrons who have engaged in the time period chosen, of those engaged, how many borrowed, and how many are actually new. It'll also showcase some key features or key pieces of information, I should say, that the number of new patrons, the highest number of new patrons in a month, and the month that had the most patrons borrowing content. Down below that, you can see the growth over time via the time period chosen. Users can toggle between what growth over time information they want to see, whether that is registered number of patrons, those who are new, engaged, or borrowed. And down below, all-time growth. So if your library has been live with Hoopla for many years, you're going to be able to see year-over-year data. And when you toggle over with your mouse, you can see registrants borrowing, all registered borrowing within that year, comparatively speaking to the year that you went live with us. It'll also showcase some key insights. So you can see the top format that your patrons really like to borrow on the platform. Again, if your library offers Hoopla Instant, that pay-per-use model, you're also going to see movies, television, comic, binge pass, music, and season pass. For member libraries of NC Live, you will see audiobook and ebook. It'll also showcase the top world language. On Hoopla Instant, we have over 140 languages other than English available through content. Then it'll also showcase the top platform. How are your patrons accessing Hoopla? Do they prefer a web browser or an app through their Android device or their iOS? Down here, it will take the engagement information and break it down into a pie chart so you can visually see the representation of how many of the engaged patrons have actually borrowed from the platform within the specified time period. Over here, what it would showcase, again, this is a testing account, is the top 5 borrowed titles over the last 30 days. If your library also provides Hoopla Instant, you'd be able to see all formats available. In the drop-down section, will allow the user to toggle between the top 5 borrowed titles of whether that's audiobook or ebook. Let's say that your library had a book club event and NC Live actually has the Flex title available in the collection for your patrons to place a hold or borrow from. You can actually see in the last 30 days whether or not that title has been borrowed from your patrons if it's one of the top 5 borrowed titles, just to get a quick idea or a quick representation of patron engagement on a specified title. And down below, based on the time period chosen, you can take a look at the patron breakdown month over month. Number of newly registered patrons, those who have borrowed, of the engaged, and overall registered at that time. Going back up to the Hoopla patron reports section, you can check out patron borrows. Gather some insights into borrowing trends from your patrons. Wait for this to load. There we go. Again, you can choose, it defaults to the last 12 months, but you can implement a time period that is specific to your needs. And you can download all the information that I will highlight here for you. Filters, you can toggle between the available formats. If your library does not have Hoopla Instant, you'll be able to see just audiobook and ebook. You'll be able to see in some charts down here that will showcase the number of patrons borrowing, the current period over the previous time period, the number of borrows for those patrons who have borrowed. If your library does have Hoopla Instant, you're actually going to be able to see your average cost per circulation within a time period, as well as, let me see if it'll toggle over, your average cost per patron on the platform. If your library has both Instant and Flex, you'll be able to see the number of borrows that patrons have utilized via Instant Borrow versus a Flex Borrow in that time period. If your library has a limited number of instant borrows because you're providing instant, you'll be able to see the average number of borrows per patron in a specified time period, as well as any patrons who may have attempted to borrow more than the monthly allotment. Again, that's for Hoopla Instant, just to get an idea of, are there patrons requesting more monthly borrows on Hoopla Instant? When you go to log in, you're going to be able to see a question mark next to the behavior report. This is an updated or this is a report that is being updated, but you can toggle over to see what information this updated report will soon be providing. Lastly, under the patron reports is the all registered patrons report. This is going to showcase your total number of registered patrons. Again, you can download this information. It'll showcase total registered, the number of patrons who have registered in the last 365 days, those who have, and I'm going to break it down here. So this is only showcasing the last 90 days, but I will share that it does showcase information of whether or not those registered patrons have borrowed or have not borrowed in the last 90, in the last 60, and in the last 30 days. So you can kind of see, are patrons registering for the platform, maybe browsing, but not necessarily borrowing? Is it because they didn't find what they were looking for, or they had other things that they were doing during the day? I will share that I don't always engage with a platform right away or complete a task on a platform right away. I'll often go back to it, but you can kind of see patron behavior trends through this piece of information here. Much like a previous report I showcased in patron reports, again, this will also showcase the top 5 titles borrowed in the last 30 days, for which you can toggle between the different formats that are available for your library. And down here, this is patron information, so you can see the actual list of registered patrons, their email address and library card, the date that they registered, their last borrow date, what their favorite format might be, i.e., what format they are borrowing most often, and then their all-time borrows. This information is only going to showcase your library's patron information. It's not going to showcase what specific titles they borrowed, but you can at least get an idea of, okay, this particular patron prefers audiobooks. Well, we have a book club event coming up, or we have an author signing event coming up. I may want to send an email engaged notification for patrons who prefer ebooks and audiobooks to notify them of this quick upcoming event. You can also see patrons who may have recently registered in the last couple of months but haven't borrowed anything yet. It could be a great way to re-engage patrons on the platform. I will also highlight title reports section here. Will showcase some of the trending titles at your library, any of the unique titles borrowed, but I like to highlight the overall circulations report in the circulations report section. Let's give this a moment to load. Again, if your library has Hoopla Instant, you are going to be able to see title details instant. The summary section here, again, you can change the time period to meet your needs and apply the information and download via CSV file or PDF. And this information is also updated twice a day in a 12-hour time period. But there are filters that are available. You can change the format if your library has all formats available through Hoopla Instant. You can change the circulation type. If your library is accessing Hoopla through NC Live's Flex collection, you're only going to see Flex. But you can also change the audience. Maybe you want to see um, borrowing information for adult fiction titles or young adult fiction titles. And you can also change the language based on what was borrowed. So I had mentioned earlier that Hoopla Instant provides over 140 different languages. This information here will only include languages other than English for titles that have been borrowed within the time period chosen. We're going to go down here. You're going to be able to see in the time period chosen the total number of circulations across the total number of unique titles. What's really cool about the platform is you can be able to see, like, yes, we have had X number of circulations within the time period, but how many of those are individual titles? You know, are our patrons preferring to borrow some of the hot new titles that are very popular? Or are they diving deep into the collection to find what is available and borrowing from there? Holds relief section is only applicable for member libraries who are providing Hoopla Instant. Holds relief, just to give a quick synopsis, holds relief is a tool library partners utilize to keep the holds queue moving and keep the wait times low. What that means is a member library can choose to say, okay, once my holds queue on a title reaches 7 patrons waiting, I would like to give the patron waiting the longest an instant copy to quickly keep the holds queue moving. It keeps not only the holds queue moving, but spending low because Hoopla Instant content will never exceed $3.99. So instead of purchasing a brand new license as a member library, you are only paying for the instant copy. Down below, the bar chart will differentiate between flex borrows, any holds relief if you have that turned on, and any instant borrows if your library is providing instant. And it breaks it down here month over month if that time period is applicable in the circulation section down here. This would change, of course, if you chose like the last full month, it will break it down by day. Title details. I'm just going to stay in flex. What this is going to showcase is the specific flex titles that were borrowed by your patrons. You can change the time period and download the information. It will showcase the total number of circulations across the total number of unique titles, and it will break it down by audience. Before I hop into what the patron experience looks like, are there any questions that I could answer in regards to our Midwest Tape e-commerce website? Okay, perfect. I'm going to hop over here.
Alicia, I'm just gonna have
Mhm.
like a quick PSA. If your library is not listed in the sign up view, please email help@nclive.org. We work with Alicia to make sure that all of our member libraries are listed. That was something that we didn't have before, but we want to let you all know that you can have it. So it's, um, Wake County Public Library or Surrey Community College, whatever your member library, please know that we want to make sure that your patrons, when they log into Hoopla, can see you listed. And if you don't see that, we are able to get that resolved quickly and work with Hoopla on that. Our titles are all perpetual access. It's one copy per state for the whole state. But sorry, the turnaround times are really quick. So that's just something to keep in mind is if folks are waiting for holds, either physical books or audiobooks in different platforms, if they put in a hold, you usually get a response pretty quickly that it's available to read, usually within a couple days instead of waiting for months. So just my quick PSA before.
Yeah, that's a great PSA, Devin. Thank you for confirming that. I tried to get back to outreach within 24 hours. So yes, as Devin mentioned, please reach out to their team. Their team will communicate with me and I will then be able to assist. So jumping over to, well, what does it look like for the patron? I'm currently on the web browser, but it is incredibly similar, if not a mirror image, on the app. As a user, after I go ahead and register, I'm going to see my library in the top right corner. For showcasing purposes, I'm simply using NC Live, but they'll be able to see your library right in the top corner. So through NC Live, providing perpetual audiobooks and ebooks, patrons can go into, there we go, audiobooks to see the different marquee collections up at the top, what's popular, what's being featured, or they can dive into the different genres and collections, or what's trending at my library. Once a patron begins to borrow, Hoopla will begin recommending titles that are similar based on borrowing history. Go down there, New York Times bestsellers. Once they scroll to the bottom, I want to quickly showcase the Help Center. If a patron has any sort of issues on the Hoopla platform, they are more than welcome and encouraged actually to submit feedback. Submit feedback will keep them in the website where they can enter their text here or feedback. Then they can select feedback through here. It will actually communicate via email to our live patron support team. Going back to the main page, I'm going to showcase the settings right here for the patron. Kind of how I mentioned on our website, let me go back here real quick, Patron Finder, where staff can assist patrons in updating their information. Patrons can also update their information directly through the platform, through settings. So currently, they can toggle between whether or not they want to receive emails, whether they want to receive notifications for any of their holds or title requests, and whether or not they do want Hoopla to keep track of their borrowing history. Um, let's see. As a patron myself, I like to keep my borrowing history in case I'm not able to finish an audiobook or finish an ebook before the borrowing period time is up. But let's say I moved to a different city, a different county. I am no longer a patron of Member Library A. I am now a patron of Member Library B. This is where the patron can actually update their library that they are a part of. So, let's say I'm no longer a member of NC Live. I'm actually a member now of Toledo Lucas County Public Library. I can actually change the library from there, scroll down a little bit, and enter my new library card from the updated library and save. Now, all authentication measures are updated based on the registered library, and I can begin borrowing content right through the platform again. Let's say I updated my email address. This is where the patrons can go in, update their email address, and save. And if they need to change their password, enter their current, new, and save. There is the search feature up at the very top where they can simply implement or input a title or an author. Three dots over to the right, though, is the advanced search. And I really enjoy this. Not only can they search by title, but they can search by people included in the title, any keywords, whether or not it's, coming soon or available now. They can toggle between the different formats. If for some reason they know it was released in the last like 12 months or 6 months, they can toggle between what has been released in that specified time period, maybe even a date that it was added to the platform. Or if they're looking for specific languages, if they know that a title is part of a series, but they don't necessarily know the title, this is where I would offer that they go into advanced search and search by series name. Or maybe they want to take a look at titles that are available by a specific publisher. Or they simply want to see what's available by subject or genre. Submit, and the search results will populate on the platform here. Down below the marquee at the top, it will showcase the number of Flex borrows that are available for that patron. I will share that unlike Hoopla Instant, which is a set number of borrows per month, Flex borrows, as soon as they return a title, they get that Flex borrow back. When a patron is in an ebook, so I'm going to resume this test title in an ebook. I really like to showcase some of the different features and functionality within an ebook that I feel you may or may not know about. And if you did, I apologize if I'm covering something you already do know about. I just really get excited about some of the features. So now that my ebook is loading, as a patron, if I'm in a book club and I have really enjoyed something that was written or a quote or something that I really want to talk about with a book club, they can utilize the bookmark feature. So, just as an example, I will add the bookmark for which they can also remove it. They can highlight titles directly through the app or web browser. They can search, look up, search, or highlight. The progression bar down here will allow the patron to move forward via page, and it will keep them updated on what page of total they are currently on and how many pages are currently left in the chapter. But up in the top left, they can see the different setting options. They can search, toggle between the different chapters available, check out their bookmarks. So I highlighted a section that was also included on the page that I bookmarked, for which it is highlighting in my specific bookmark. And I can go right to what that page looks like. So when I'm talking to my book club about what I had highlighted, I can quickly find it through the app. Settings in an ebook are probably my favorite. Not only can I change the screen brightness, but I can also change the font. For patrons with dyslexia, they can change the font to dyslexic to make it easier for them to read the title. They can also change the text size or bold the text, and they can also change the theme. There are many folks like myself who do prefer dark mode because it is easier on my eyes, but maybe they're in a bright space for which maybe a gray or a mint background might be easier on their eyes. They can change the line spacing, small, medium, large, or default. They can also change the margin size between small, medium, and large, the text alignment, default, left, or justified, and change between whether or not they want one column or two on the page. They can also change vertical scrolling, which will allow them to read the ebook in a scrolling view, kind of like a normal web page would. If they experience any issues with an ebook, they can select Submit Feedback, check out one of the options listed. If it doesn't match, my title doesn't match your description, and enter issue here and submit feedback. This will directly communicate to our live patron support team, for which they will communicate with the patron directly through email. I will share, not only is it a live patron support team, they have about 24 hours that they typically respond to patrons. So we do really appreciate that. So if your patrons have any questions, oh, well, it's just going to maybe they might have experiences where they submit feedback and it is going through a queue or a chat bot. Yes, it is an automated response that they initially receive, but once they respond to that automated responder, it does go to our patron support team for which they will receive answers and more information within 24 hours. From here, they can close the reader and it'll take them back to the title. Within the, I'll say, title details page, they can check out the number of pages available for that title, the year that it was released, language, and publisher. Synopsis, of course, or related subject matters. If they wanted to stay in supernatural theme for the upcoming holidays, once they click on a related subject, it will take them to all available titles with that related subject. Maybe they really enjoy the author. They want to see what's available more. They can go ahead and check out all available titles by that particular author or anyone similar. So now through an audiobook, you may actually, once I start playing this, you may actually hear it through my speaker. So I apologize. I will do my best to pause. Excellent. So with an audiobook, it is automatically going to stay low on the web browser. Clicking on the caret here will expand the audiobook information. And much like ebooks, patrons can bookmark. I'm going to go to the next chapter. There we go. They can change the volume directly through the open page here. They can check their progression via in the book itself or in the chapter, for which will change the time period and percentage of progression. Hop back 30 seconds, go forward 30 seconds, back a chapter, forward a chapter, play, pause, of course. If they prefer to have a playback speed that's a bit faster, they can go ahead and implement a faster playback speed. If they want to go 4 times the playback speed, they can certainly do so. If they wanted to check out their bookmarks, they'll hop over to the bookmark pop-up page. Like I had mentioned, if they're part of a book club and they really want to talk about what they had listened to in a specific chapter, when they go ahead and bookmark, they can actually implement a note here. This might help them. Maybe they don't meet with a book club for a couple of weeks, but they want to add a note that says, hey, talk about this specific section. This is where I would offer to add a note. They can delete or save, jump forward to the different chapters, which do have titles. Or they can implement a sleep timer. From personal experience, I do enjoy listening to an audiobook before bed, but I don't want the audiobook to continue throughout the night and then I lose my place. So maybe I might set a timer for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Once the timer is up, the audiobook will pause and they can hop back in at a later date. If they do have an issue with an audiobook, they can select an issue or my title doesn't match your description, for which they can enter their issue here and submit feedback. We exit out of that. Going back to the home page, they can browse all content for which it will take them to the home page, or they can go to My Hoopla, which will showcase anything that is currently borrowed. If they allow borrowing history, they can view it through here or through the toggle up here. They can check out anything that they have on hold or whether or not they have favorites. So if they're really enjoying Remarkably Bright Creatures, they can hit the heart for which it is now favorited. Once they're taking a look at borrowed titles, if they finished the audiobook before the time period, they can go ahead and return now. So with that, that is the overall patron experience. Does anyone have any questions, feedback, things that they've heard from their patrons about the platform? All right. I just really want to
Please
say
feel
thank you. Oh,
free. Oh,
sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
Thank you so much. Please feel free to submit any questions in the chat or unmute yourself if you'd like. Alicia, if you could just quickly show like selecting audiobooks and then being able to see by genre, because I think that's a good way for
Yeah.
people to see our permanent collection.
I love that. So, as a patron of a member library through NC Live, if I'm taking a look at audiobooks and I kind of want to see, okay, these carousels are great and I can see more of what's popular, but I want to check out all the available genres and collections through what is provided via NC Live, they're going to select See More, for which they can take a look at the different genres. So, for an example, I'm currently in genres section. And I want to take a look at all the available thriller titles that are, again, provided through NC Live. When they are listed and showing the genre that they've chosen, it will showcase the title and whether or not there is currently a wait list. If there's a wait list, they can go ahead and place a hold, and it'll showcase how many patrons in front of them are currently waiting. So if I were to place a hold on We Are All Guilty here, I probably wouldn't have to wait but maybe a couple of weeks if that person in front of me has just borrowed the title with the borrowing period of 21 days. I do see that there is a question in the chat, so I'm going to take a moment to go ahead and read that. That is actually a great question that I do often get. So To showcase an example, if I am a patron of not only my local library, but a library in a different county, because that other library permits such, what I'm going to do as a patron is I'm going to go to my settings. So, my settings, I'm going to change my library. So, for an example, I'm going to go back to Toledo Lucas County Public Library, enter my PIN, and save. The platform itself then updates based on that other member library's permissions, what they're offering, things like that. So I hope that that helps. If you have a patron who has a library card at different locations, they're going to want to log in, go to their settings, library, update, and save. Great question.
And Alicia, you can toggle between the two, correct? Because I'm a patron of NC State because I'm a staff member there, but
Mhm.
I'm also a patron of my local public library. And in the mobile app, I think I can toggle between the two.
I do believe it is available through the mobile app, through the web browser. They're still working on updates for that. So soon
Gotcha.
to come, as a patron, you'll be able, again, not available right now, but in the future, they're working on a toggle between where the patron can simply go to their settings and be able to say, okay, today, right now, I'm going to switch between the two libraries. So more to come on that in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Is it better to have separate accounts for different libraries or to use the toggle feature in the app?
That's a great question. I feel that that would be patron preference based.
Hmm.
So, as an example, for myself, I don't always toggle between the different member libraries that I am a part of here in Ohio. Um, the member library that I'm a part of, Toledo Lucas County Public Library, they have everything that I'm looking for. But the other member library that I am a part of, they have maybe more titles that they're offering. This is my personal preference. Again, personal preference. I just go to the settings and toggle because I'm already in here. But again, I'm on a web browser.
Hmm.
Whereas if I were on my phone, that's going to look a little bit different. And I might have a separate account, right? To say, okay, I'm going to do my best to word this correctly. So on my web browser, because it saves all of my information, my login and my password, I'm sticking with one library. But on my phone, that also saves my information. I'm actually through a different library. So because I'm on two different browsing platforms, I am going to have two different accounts. I hope I might have just made that worse, but I hope that answers your question.
No, I think that makes sense. And yeah, awesome. Good. I'm glad
Okay.
there's follow up in the chat that that question was
Yeah,
answered. Yeah.
awesome. It's a great question, though, because I'm sure you have patrons who are coming into the physical space and saying, hey, with Hoopla, I've got, two different library accounts. How can I quickly do that? This is kind of what you can show them in the meantime before we're
Mhm.
able to upload a toggle feature on the web browser.
Yeah.
Great
And
question.
I would say too, if you haven't created an account with Hoopla before, I would recommend doing that and then logging into the mobile app with the account that you created. I think it gives a good perspective so you can see. We have, patrons that'll email us asking for help with Hoopla and support. And I feel like I've gotten a better understanding of kind of the ins and outs of the platform um, with the mobile app and being able to use that frequently.
I love that. And Devin, because you mentioned getting your own registration with Hoopla, this is what everyone's going to see. So they go to hoopladigital.com on their web browser. Welcome to Hoopla. They can go ahead and get started. And it's going to give them just 4 simple steps, step by step. This is the information that they'll need, and they can start. They will search for their library. If they, Devin, you mentioned before, if you don't find your library in the drop-down list, reach out to Devin and her team, who will then reach out to me. We'll get everybody started. Patrons will search for the library and next. So I'm going to go here, for example, next, input their current library card and their current library PIN. So I do want to clarify, we do not require the PIN itself. It is the PIN that is required by your library. So what their PIN is already with your library. Implement that information here. Next, I'm just going to put an example here. Okay, so if it doesn't match, they're going to implement the message here, but step number 4 is going to require them to input or create a password. And all of the information that they input prior is what authenticates so the patron can get registered. So authentication happens at registration and borrowing. Any other questions for me?
All right. If we don't have any questions, we can wrap up with a few minutes to spare. Alicia, is it okay if I share your email if folks want to get in touch with you
Yes.
directly in the follow
Absolutely do
up?
that.
Awesome.
Absolutely do that. That's what I am here for. I do my best to reply within 24 hours or at least give you some information that either I am looking into it. We have great staff members within our internal teams if there are questions that we need to dig into. I just really want to thank everyone for your time